These are the One More SonoFlow active noise cancelling headphones. So they can be used both wired and wireless. They have a runtime with the ANC off of up to 70 hours, with it on 50 hours, which is quite impressive. And they are tuned by a Grammy award-winning sound engineer. They use 40mm drivers, and they also do support the LDAC codec. Now, that LDAC codec has a bit rate which is around 3 times more than, say, the SBC Bluetooth codec, and you can use AAC with these two as well. Now, inside the SonoFlow box, you will find a user guide, and it comes with this pouch like a lot of these ANC headphones do. So it's a high-quality pouch. I like it. You see there are the SonoFlows. We've got some cables right here. So we have a hard wired cable too. If you want to use these wired, it's possible to do so. So that's our 3.5mm one. And then we've got our Type-C to USB cable. So they just fit in like so, and you can see it's labeled left and right there. So it makes it easier when you put it back into this little case. Now, the design of them, it's plastic that they've gone for. Now, you can understand why they have done this to keep the weight down. So 250 grams. Now, they do fold in like that. That's to make them a little bit more compact, of course, to fit them in their case or if you wanted to store them away. And they feel good. The plastics are high quality. So there's no like real sharp edges or anything like that. And it has this nice matte paint finish to it. You can see the One More branding there. So they do have 5 microphones built into them. And we've got noise cancelling with those microphones, and of course the active noise cancelling, the transparent mode. The battery capacity is 720 milliamp hours, and if you've got the ANC off, they'll go for up to 70 hours, which is really good. And if you've got it on, then it's up to about 50. But it depends on the genre of music and what volume you're listening to, of course, there. So the ear cups, they are really nice and soft and spongy. Really comfortable material to them. Now, after wearing these for a few hours, I noticed that yes, you can get a little bit of heat build up here, and I got a little bit sweaty because it's still, well, we're coming almost out of summer now, but it's very humid at the moment. It's about 80% humidity and 32 degrees, so they will get a little bit hot in those environments. So the top here, the headband, the sponge here too, feels really good. Now, I've noticed that wearing it, again, it's not applying pressure to the top of my head that I start to get a bit of a sore head that I do with some other headphones. That's not happening here. And there is a nice amount of pressure that's being applied, but not overly done that the cups are being pressed against your head the whole time, that your ear is pressing against your skull and it's going to hurt. That is not happening there either. So you see on the sides here, there's our Type-C. Okay, and there's where you plug it in for the wired connection. Now, of course, the tune between using Bluetooth, you've also got LDAC codec with this too as well, is very different to then using it wired. It sounds the best wired, of course, because you're going to get absolutely no compression then, like you do with Bluetooth. Status LED down here. Now, the charge time, it takes around about 70 minutes to charge them. And if you charge for just 5 minutes, you get around 5 hours of playback, which is quite good. And we've got these plastic buttons on the side. They don't feel too bad. I mean, it doesn't feel super high quality because of all the plastics they've gone with these particular headphones, but I don't think they feel too bad there. So holding that down, of course, is going to turn it on. And then we have our volume up and down here, and then the noise cancellation. So pressing this, you cycle through a lighter noise cancellation, a heavier, and then the transparent mode there too. You can see on the side it does state Quiet Max. In order to get the best wireless listening experience, by the way, it's also high-res audio certified, both wired and wireless with these. You want to be using this, LDAC, and I'll show you later after this how to enable that with the application. It's super simple. You can see my battery life right there. And I do have the option that if I go in here that I could disable LDAC, go back to AAC, or with other phones, it'll be SBC. Now, if you're using an iPhone, you'll be on the AAC codec. It won't sound quite as good as LDAC here. But let's get on to just how they do sound. So using the default tune, you can see my equalizer completely flat here. I want to listen to how One More has it tuned. And I got to say, it's amazing, really good. The first experience while listening to some of my favorite tracks on these, and you know, when you listen to a good tune that is reproduced, I think, accurately, you get that tingling feeling. Well, I do. I get the hairs around my neck, my back kind of stand up, that pins and needles kind of feeling. Wow, what a good tune that these do have. I think it's excellent. Really well balanced. Like, they haven't gone overboard with bass like so many other brands do, especially more affordable priced products with audio tend to do that. They tend to push high bass oh, that means it sounds amazing. No, it's not all about the bass. The mids, vocals sound excellent. Whatever genre I listen to, I really do like it. And when the bass comes through, it is powerful, very deep, strong, really great. I cannot rave enough really about how well these are tuned for their price point. Now, I do notice too that with that bass, you just cannot beat it, of course. Headphones, over-ears versus in-ears, there's no competition. You're talking about an in-ear with a 6mm driver diameter versus 40 millimeters here. Massive difference. And the carbon diaphragm that's using, I think, is excellent. So amazing sound out of these for the price point. I think these can go head-to-head with other brand products, well-known audio brand products that are even more expensive. They are tuned that well, at least to me. Now, using them with a wired connection here, the sound signature is completely different, of course, as expected. One thing I have noticed that you can push the volume a lot higher with the wired connection. However, it may be prone to then distortion a little bit from those higher volumes. It seems that, at least with this phone, when I use Bluetooth and the LDAC codec, that it limits the volume to a point where it's not actually going to distort. You don't get any clipping or any issues there at all, which is in a way a good thing. Now, the difference between using the wired connection and then the LDAC codec, wow, it's amazing. I really can't distinguish the difference between wired and LDAC. If you did a blind test, I would probably be hard put to tell the difference between them. It really is that close. The LDAC codec, to put it simply, is amazing compared to SBC or AAC Bluetooth codecs. So here is our application. It is called One More Music. And straight away, once you have them connected up with Bluetooth, obviously you can see your remaining battery life. You've got our listening mode, so you can toggle it here to put the ANC on or run pass-through or just completely have it off if you want the best battery life. Now, you don't have to use this app, but you do have to use it if you want to use LDAC, the high-definition codec. Now, this one transmitted at a much higher rate. I think it's like 4 or 5 times more than standard Bluetooth. So you don't get that compression, especially with the highs. It is much better quality. It's a little bit hard to detect at first, going between just AAC and then, of course, using the LDAC. But once you swap over, you can actually distinguish, well, at least I can with my ears, the difference between the two. But it's not as noticeable as you think. But when you hear certain tracks, certainly to me, the highs do sound a lot better. You don't get that compression you would get over a standard Bluetooth codec like SBC or AAC. So here we have our equalizers. There are a lot of different settings in there that you can use. Now, I'm just using the default equalizer because I want the tune and how it sounds out of the box here for my own testing. You've got firmware updates. We have a quick start little guide there. So that just tells you about the controls. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, most of us will know that the volume adjustment's a single tap, and then you hold to select your previous tracks and whatnot. And then you have, of course, the to answer the calls just using the power button there, which is pretty similar to what other brands have set up as well with their control. So that's straightforward. And I do like the way the app is presented, as it is simply just in one screen here, and that I think is really nice and easy to use. And then we do have soothing sounds if you wanted to listen to like rain and things like that to relax you, perhaps help you sleep. You've got that option without just playing your own music. So it's a nice little added touch that they do have that option. Then audio latency. Is there a noticeable delay between what we are seeing and hearing? Well, right here, just streaming Amazon Prime Video, an episode of The Boys, it seems to be pretty much spot on. I can't see any noticeable delay between when the actors are speaking and when I'm hearing it, which is good. However, if you game, I've noticed there is sometimes a bit of a detectable delay, especially like PUBG when you're firing. You notice that it's not quite in time, in perfect sync. There is a fraction of delay, but here for streaming video content, I think they're going to be fine. Microphone sample now with the One More SonoFlow. So it does have the noise cancellation with these headphones, and if you wanted to handle calls on your headphones, well, it's not going to be a problem at all with these because I do find the microphone quality, as you can hear, to be quite good. When you power on the SonoFlows, there's a little boot up sound that you do hear, and then it will be connected to your Bluetooth 5 tech. There's also a voice prompt that does state your battery life. Now we'll say like battery medium, battery high, battery low, But for some reason, it will say it twice. So I do hope they can fix that because it's kind of annoying, a little bit weird. Why does it have to say it twice? Or it often will say it twice there. Now they are very comfortable to put on. First thing you notice is that you get some passive noise isolation straight away, which is great. Because of the over-ear design, it is always going to be off to a much better start than inner ears. Now I love my in-ear TWS earbuds. I use them a lot, but when I travel and I want the best active noise cancellation, the over-ear design really can't be beat in regards to the levels of noise cancellation it can give you there. So it is actively going and listening to the background noises, of course, that are around. It's going to combat that frequency. So, for example, the drone of engines, cars, trains, aeroplanes, air conditioning units right now, when I turn on the ANC, it blocks it out completely, like I can't hear it at all. It's so good. So very good. Now the comfort of the cups, they are good. Now I have worn these for extended periods just to see what it's like, and this is typical with all headphones, the design of them, that eventually I do get a little bit, not quite sweaty, but definitely damp. A bit of heat build up from these after wearing them, especially now because it's still quite warm, still quite humid, and I'm noticing that. Now, when I had them on for about 3 hours or so, I get a little bit of fatigue. Now, they're not pressing against my ears quite hard like some of the other headphones that I do own, and I've noticed that the top sponge there is pretty good. I don't have to keep moving it about every now and then. But yes, after 2-3 hours, you do notice that the top part here of your head is, I wouldn't call it sore, but you do feel it a little bit, and then your ears. So you need to give yourself a break too after listening for about 2-3 hours. That's kind of really the limit for me personally anyway too. So you get a little bit of heat build up, that's just gonna happen anyway. Now, disconnections. I've had no problems with these at all. They have not disconnected on me. The range seems to be typical Bluetooth 5, so I can walk downstairs and pretty much out the front door before they start to break up on me, which is standard there. I don't find it to be particularly short. However, when you use the LDAC codec, the transmission bit rate, of course, is a lot higher. It's about 3 times that of the SBC codec, but I've noticed the range does tend to be quite a bit shorter, and you won't be able to get that 50 hours with the active noise cancelling on using the SBC codec. It is a bit of a battery drainer because it's transmitting at that much higher rate. It's consuming more energy. It makes sense. So instead of around 50 hours, you're probably looking about 30, 35 or so when you use that, which is still excellent for an LDAC codec and that kind of performance. Now, of course, if you want the absolute best battery life out of these, then you just turn off, number one, the active noise cancellation. You turn off with the application the LDAC support there too. So you do need the app to turn it on. And the difference between using LDAC and SBC, especially SBC codec, not so much with AAC, but you do notice a difference. You notice that there's less compression with those highs. You're not getting that like distortion. You can't hear the waveform being compressed a little bit, which is basically essentially what you get with Bluetooth. The difference for me compared to it being wired and then using LDAC, there is not much of a detectable difference. Really, to be honest, I can't tell the difference between it really being wired and then wireless when you use LDAC. You certainly can when you use SBC, so a standard Bluetooth codec. When you're using that and then you use it wired, wow, wired it's day and night. Wired sounds so much better, but LDAC is an impressive codec too. So they are, yeah, very comfortable, really nice. You can see they're typical good fit to them. Now it is all plastics that they have used, but it is of a good quality to finish too. There's no sharp edges, there's nothing terrible about it. As you heard from my microphone sample, the mic sample, I think is good for headphones, especially headphones. A lot of them just skip them because they think, people aren't placing voice calls on headphones. They don't need really good mics. They only need them for inner ears. That's when they might be out and about, but great they did not overlook that one more. And then the tune, excellent. I think this tune is fantastic. It really did give me kind of pins and needles. They have the hairs sort of stand up on my back and give me that tingling feeling listening to some of my favorite tracks. That the tune is, I think, spot on. I think it's really good. They haven't gone overboard with the bass, which a lot of brands do, especially a lot of their more affordable products will just pump that bass right up, those lows. And a lot of people have that misconception that powerful, good, strong bass means that, these sound awesome. But then you're lacking on highs especially, or mids. But they aren't lacking in the mids. Vocals sound really good. Highs are really detailed, crisp. And overall, you're getting a really great reproduction with these. And I personally think that these can go head to head with other brands and even ones that are a lot more expensive. So let's talk about the pricing of these. Well, they are going to be about the $100 mark, okay? And on launch, there probably will be, there is actually going to be a $20 discount on them. So it's well worth it. I think for the price, you are getting a fantastic product here. So thank you so much for watching this review of the One More SonoFlows.